Hi, everybody. I wanted to welcome you to our resume workshop masterclass. We have a special guest today, so I wanted to make sure that we get her on with no strings attached or no further ado. We have Rochelle here, and she's going to be taking care of the masterclass, helping you guys, giving you guys some tips and information on how to make your resume noticeable, how to get the information that you need to the individuals that need that information. So, with no further ado.
I gotta call you back. Okay, you said click my picture. Sorry guys, here I am. Let's just get started. I can't see anyone. I tried to click the picture, it didn't come up, but I don't want to delay the process, so let's just press forward. Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Rochelle Lee. I'm a professional resume writer, amongst other things. I work for state government, have been there the past 26 years. Um, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a sister, and all that stuff. But my mission today is to provide you with information to help you craft a nice and professional looking resume that will grab the attention of employers in 2024. So I have years of experience and expertise in doing this. It started as a hobby, but nonetheless, is something that I enjoy doing. So let's get started. So our agenda for the class, just so we know the kind of path that we're headed on, is we'll talk about the resume process and being concise with the information that you provide. We'll speak to tailoring your resume according to what jobs you are applying for. We'll talk about some of the different resume formats, do an objective statement, and then any relevant skills that you may want to mention. We'll give you some keywords and some action verbs. Proofreading, talk about proofreading a little bit to make sure that there's no grammatical errors in your resume. The importance of updating it regularly. And then we'll have a couple of question and answer periods throughout the presentation. I will say too that in the chat, you can put questions in there if you want and more comfortable doing that. And yeah, we'll get those answered for you. So the resume process. So this is basically tailoring your resume. So whenever you do a resume, you always want to make sure that you're choosing a format that's going to fit the needs that you have based on the job that you're applying for. You want to be sure that you're not, we'll talk about some of the different resume formats, but you want to make sure that you're not presenting the wrong type of format for the job that you're after. Um, Adding the right contact information and details is something that is imperative. Um, in regard to your information at the top of your resume, I usually recommend that like your name is in a larger font than everything else. Um, and then in regard to the contact information, you'll have your name, your address, you'll provide like an email and a phone number, but you always want to make sure that your email is business professional. Don't do an email like hot toddy 78 or something like that. Or 78. You don't want to do that type of thing. You want to have it real professional, maybe with your name or your name shortened in some numbers, letters, or however you want to do that. But don't do names like that. It doesn't look good and it doesn't come across good to the employer when you have names like that. So you want to watch that type of stuff. You want to write an impactful resume summary. This is like your summary or your objective statement, and you want it to, it's like a snapshot of what you are. And so it's like your sales pitch, if you would. And so you want to make sure that that's impactful. Pay attention to your work experience section. Um, and make sure you have complete information. If you have the employer's name, you may not necessarily have the address, but Google is an excellent resource in regards to not contacting, but obtaining the contact information for employers. And then you can usually give them an 800 number if they have an 800 number. So whatever the company is, and then the city and state, not so much the address, the city and state, you would want to definitely put on that resume. And then you would want to have someone that they can contact in a phone number. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. Any kind of skills for the job that you're thinking that are transferable, you want to list those skills. You want to keep your education short, to the point, and then leverage any optional resume section, something like an accomplishment that you did. It can be a number of things. I won't even try to think about what it possibly could be, but it can be a number of things. So you want to decide which type of resume you want. Usually in the header is where your name goes. That's usually at the top of the resume. You're going to write a summary, list any experiences or skills. Some of these experiences or skills are also called knowledge, skills, and abilities section of your resume. So you can do that as well. You can list activities, different education that you may have accomplished, whether it be certificate or degrees, any type of special training that you have that you want to stand out. This is your platform to do that. List any awards that you've won or any awards that you've been provided, and then maybe give the year that you received it. That would be a good idea. So whenever you have your resume and you're preparing to draft your information, you always want to make sure that you address or review your resume using the 4 C's. And they're here on the screen, but I want to speak to you about the copy edits. So the copy edits are like the dates and abbreviations are correct. You want to make sure that they're accurate. Specifically the dates on the application. The resume gives you some leeway. You don't have to have the exact date on there, but you want to have the month and the year on there that you've worked the job. And then in regards to the abbreviations are usually the word, if you're going to abbreviate, usually takes the vowels out. And so that's just a rule of thumb on how they abbreviate. But if you can spell it out and you have room to spell it out, spell it out. I think that would be more appropriate for the resume, but it's definitely optional. Make sure that you're using the correct word usage. This is where we get words like there, THEIR, THERE, THEY apostrophe RE, there. So you want to make sure you use the correct word usage. The English language has a lot of words that transpose each other. They kind of intersect at weird places, and you're like, what? But make sure that you're doing that. You also want to make sure that you have periods at every complete thought. So in your sentence or your statement with a hard stop. And so you want to make sure you're doing that. Make sure that your proper nouns are capitalized. This is your person, place, or thing. If it's an official business, capitalize it. And then we want to speak to clarity. Make sure that your sentences are clear and that your words are concise. So it's real neat. There's no question about what it is that you're saying. So if I were looking out my window now and I'm like the flowers, the leaves on that tree are green. There's no question about that, right? The leaves are green. And so those are the types of sentences you have. You don't want to have a sentence on your resume that the employer is going to question, like, what do they mean by that? You don't want that. So make sure that it's a clear thought and that it's concise in regards to what you are attempting to say. Be consistent. If you start and go on your resume and you start with bullets, each bullet, it'll be a bullet action verb. Okay. And so The action verb is actually what you're doing. And so if it's collaborated with a team of professionals to complete a project on global warming, something like that. And so you want to lead with that action verb. Um, Make sure that you're using punctuation at the end of every bullet or not. So if you're using bullets, um, this part is just being consistent, because you can do the bullet and not have the period, or you can do the bullet and have the period. You just want it consistent as you're going through the resume. That makes sense, okay? So make sure that you are using the same style, the font style. One of the things that I do when I do resumes is usually when I'm in the header and I'm doing their name is usually different. The font is usually different. I usually do something creative, something a little bit more jazzy and not so businessy. All right. And so I might do pick some, I don't know, some random font size for the name, but then with the rest of the body of the email, it's going into one type of font, whether it be Arial, Gothic, Times New Roman. And be careful when you are crafting your resume, because you don't want your resume to be too flashy. You want to get their attention, but you don't want it to be, sometimes they have like the italics and the calligraphy, your body, you don't want in that type of font. You want it clear, you want it clean. Most employers want to look at it, they want to grab what they want to grab, and then they're out of there. And so you don't want anything to distract them from that. Okay, so don't add a whole lot of extra. That's a good word, extra. All right, make sure you're using the same font. And then in regard to colleagues, have someone else read over your document. We do this because when you are working on any type of correspondence and you're drafting a letter or you're drafting a document, your eyes can get tired looking at the computer and reviewing the material. And so with that, you want to make sure that you have a fresh set of eyes looking at it. And so sometimes what it is that when you pull a colleague, a friend, or someone else to look at it, they'll see something that you totally missed. And that's just because your eyes are tired. And so you want to make sure to have someone else review that for you. All right. So don't forget that a fresh set of eyes never hurts. Okay. All right. So some of the different types of resumes out there is we have the reverse chronological resume, a profile resume, functional resume, chronological, infographic, combined, and targeted resumes. And so we're going to go through these, and then we're going to also provide you a sample so you can see what it kind of looks like. The reverse chronological resume lists work experience starting from the most recent job and moving backwards. While it typically follows a specific structure, there's flexibility to adapt to it. So this format is commonly used for functional skill-based resumes. So this is probably one of the resumes that I've seen the most. And it's usually because a lot of employers are really concerned or interested in what is the most current and relevant work experience. Okay. And so usually you go current and then you just, go back. But that's kind of what that is. And then here's a sample of it. You can see her name at the top. She goes into her experience, and then you see how her phone number and her email, they're smaller, and that's how they should be. They don't have to be that font size small, but like her Isabel Todd, she may be, I don't know, maybe 20 font there or whatever, and then it goes down, from there. But all the rest of it would be, consistent. And so you want that. You don't never want your phone number, your email address to be as large as your name. Okay. And then the reverse chronological resume lists work experience starting with the most recent job and moving backwards. While it's typically, did I go back, guys? I'm sorry. Did I go back? I think I did. Yeah. Sorry, guys. The profile resume is the next one. The little mouse just went on back and did its own thing. But okay, the profile, moving forward, resume is where we're going. So tailor your resume, your summary, your objective statement to the target job using keywords and phrases from the job description. So a professional summary should follow the formula that's below. You got your descriptive work, you got your job title, experience level. That's how many years, work experience, skills, and then your achievements. Okay. And then I would say too that the profile resume would be like one of the resumes that you would post to like LinkedIn or Snag a Job, Flex Jobs, Indeed, those types of websites. Okay. And then you can see Olivia, she's there's a sample of that type of resume there. Graphic designer. And then she said that she's fun, hardworking, creative, strives for excellence in everything that she does. And so she says she's an avid learner and seek to enhance the lives of everyone around her. And then if you notice too, her education is highlighted first, which is usually different. And that's the beauty about working with these resumes is you can get as creative as you want and you really make it your own. Like she put her picture there, she's making it her own. They know exactly who she is and what she does. And so she has her bachelor's, she has her bachelor's degree in digital analysis. She has a master's in product design. And so it's totally your story to tell and no one else's. The functional resume. So if you're changing careers or taking on a different job from what you've done in the past, a functional resume helps you. It emphasizes the right qualifications and achievements. So this type of resume, you want to make sure that you're focusing on transferable skills, abilities that you've demonstrated in other jobs that are important for different jobs and industries. Functional resumes enable you to be a little bit more creative with your work history and allow some flexibility in the skills you choose to highlight. And then here's a sample of that. You can look at her resume. She's going for a digital marketing manager. She has a lot of marketing skills. And she has her education on there, certificates, organizations that she's a part of, her skills, these SEOs, digital marketing, pricing organization, those are skills that would help her going after a marketing position. So if you have skills that you feel are going to help you obtain a specific job, and this is your format, it gives you an idea the types of things that you would list under skills if you were choosing this format. Does that make sense? I'm sure it does. And then the infographic resume is a visual resume that uses graphics, design, different elements, colors, fonts, layouts, charts, images to convey your professional experience. They usually offer a platform for you to showcase your design proficiency and individual flair to potential employers. This type of resume is generally done with visual aids, data, and are advantageous when you're seeking a creative role, like in marketing or some kind of digital designer. And you can see that these types would be something that you would use to apply for like Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook, because they are ones who create these platforms that are attractive. You know what I mean? They're eye catchy. That would be an infographic, resume. The chronological resume is a resume format that lists your professional experience in reverse chronological order, beginning with your most recent position and continuing in descending order. Ideally, a chronological resume should be no longer than 1 page. However, 2 pages are acceptable if you have 15 years of experience showing your entire work history will benefit you. If you have 15 years of experience, though, what I would recommend that you do is depending on the type of job or work that you have been performing for that past 15 years would determine on whether you list it all, if it's the same or if it's different. It really depends on what you're applying for because, for example, I have 26 years of working in state government in service. And so I have more than 20 years, though, working in personnel. And so with my working in personnel, I wouldn't list every job that I have. I would just list the types of jobs that I have. And then what I would do is I would afford an opportunity for me to explain or elaborate in an interview. And so a resume is supposed to be a snapshot. It doesn't have to necessarily be the whole thing because more than likely the employer is not going to want to read that whole thing. And so I know with state government, they call them statement of qualifications, and you giving them a snapshot of like a story. But I would definitely say if you can at all possible get it down to one page on a resume, do it. And if you can't, just keep it clear and concise. But I would never go more than 2 pages. Okay. And then here's a sample of a chronological resume. You see they have their education at the bottom. They did relevant skills. Now, if this were me, I'd probably switch it a little bit because I would probably move the relevant skills probably somewhere at the top. And I would probably bullet them. So combination resumes are also called hybrid resumes because they combine aspects of the chronological resume and the functional resume format. Combination resumes emphasizes skills over work experience like functional resumes, but chronological resumes, they display job history prominently. Or like chronological resumes, they do the same thing. But there's a caveat, and you can look at this. This is with their name and contact. It would highlight summary, skills and abilities. I mentioned knowledge, skills, and abilities earlier, but skills and abilities is totally acceptable. Any professional experience, your education and awards. But there's a caveat to this one because the disadvantages of the combination resume is that the format includes a detailed employment history. So if you want to say job hopping, or if you have gaps and some work that's unrelated to experience, it'll be more apparent in this type of resume than in a functional resume. So you want to be careful with that. A targeted resume is a resume written for a specific job opening. It highlights the skills and experience relevant to that position. Each time you apply for a job, you should tailor the resume to be more relevant to that specific position. And then what I would also recommend that you do is that as you do submit more resumes for different jobs and you're actually out there in the market, get a flash drive and keep it on there. I say that because you may not apply for that same type of position today, but you may tomorrow. And so keep a flash drive with your resumes, and then at least that way you have it somewhere that it's safe, it's kept. If you need to update it, you can get on there and you can update it and you can tweak it. If you want to have different styles, the flash drive can definitely be used as a storage place for those types of documents. And then here is another sample. And you see that they put the contact detail, they put his name at the top of the contact details. On this one is over to the right. And then the other one had skills at the bottom and they moved it to the right. So it's just little things that you can do to make it your own. It's all about you. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat box. I don't know if there's questions. Miss Tawana, I'm going to need for you to tell me whether you see something that I don't see.
Okay, let's see here in the chat. It doesn't look like there's any questions so far in our
every
comment
resume should
section.
feature a concise objective statement at the outset. aiding employers in swiftly grasping your career aspirations and qualifications. Some examples of the statements: to secure a demanding position within a distinguished organization to enhance my expertise and capabilities. Doesn't that sound awesome? And another one example would be to obtain a position of responsibility that allows me to apply my training and skills effectively, thereby contributing significantly to the company's success. So those are both great examples. Those types of statements, objective statements or summary statements, they're all you. You make them personal and you make them fit your personality and your goals. Okay. Highlight any relevant skills. Be sure that whenever you are applying at a position or at an employment, applying to an employer, that you research the company, look up their mission and value when writing your resume or cover letter. Make sure that your values match their values within the company. This is also good to do, not just when you are submitting like your resume and cover letter, should they ask for it, but if you land the interview, know something about that department or that agency or that employer. Okay. You always want to know a little bit, know what they do, and it'll go a long way.
Their
These
mission
are some
statement as
AI
well.
adjectives that are on here, keywords. Miss Tawana, are you on?
Yes, I
I
am.
don't know where she went, but okay, we're going to continue on. So these are words that you can use. They're words that jump out. And so words that catch the employer's attention, that you want to make sure that you are using words like that to grab their attention and land that interview. You want that interview at the end of the day. And these ATS is a resume, I think it's a resume screening app is what it is. But these are action verbs that you can definitely use that work, that I've used. I usually have a list in front of me of words that I want to try to grab once I read over like some of the duties that people have done to make sure that I'm helping them and assisting them to get the attention that they need to land that interview and then hopefully get that position.
Yes.
So while proofreading, you should read your resume slowly, check for spelling and grammatical errors, run a spell check on your computer. But just remember when I talked about that there, and there, some of the spell checks, if they're right, they won't tell you that like this there doesn't belong there. So you gotta be careful with those homonyms, and then ask someone else to read it. I will also say, do not use words that you are not familiar with. Okay, you don't want to be caught off guard. Some of the newer practices, at the end of the sentence, instead of 2 spaces, they do 1, but it's not wrong to do 2. You can do 2, you can do 1. Just be consistent throughout your document, which is our next point. Using periods and commas, quotation marks, and things like that where they belong. Avoid using any kind of exclamation points in your resume, okay? So remember that your resume is making a strong first impression. Don't settle for anything less than your best. Put your best foot forward and go get them. All right, any questions? Seeing none.
I wanted to talk about a little bit about ATS system.
I believe the presentation is going to be streamed again So you'll be able to watch it and go back and review it. So a resume follow-up email is a message you send after submitting your resume or job application. There are other ways you can connect an employer following the submission of a resume, but email is typically the most efficient and professional. It also helps you keep on top of their mind while they're still searching for the right candidate. I would also add that if you are lucky enough to land your interview, after the interview, send an email, a thank you email. In the thank you email, you want to make sure that you're highlighting your skills and why you would be the best candidate for the position. Okay. And just thank them for interviewing you. It doesn't have to be anything long or anything like that, but just a snapshot so they'd be like, okay, they actually took the time to say thank you for the interview, and it goes a long way with employers. Okay. Quick recap. Make sure your social media accounts are cleaned up. Your brand is your name. All right. So don't have anything crazy out there in your social media, because employers use these pages to screen out employees. They're looking for your interest and your values and your goals, different types of personality. And so they want to see how you contribute to their company culture and whether or not you fit in. All right. So you want to make sure that keep your stuff clean, and don't have a lot of unnecessary stuff out there and that's relatable. Just real minimal. Okay. So you want you to get that job. This is contact information. And it's yours to conquer. Today is yours to conquer. You guys have been great. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck.